Hay Newell sat in the ancient space station's library, surrounded by glowing screens of alien text. After the first battle at the Orion Nebula, she had returned here to find answers. Something about the aliens' warnings didn't make sense, and she was determined to find out why. "You've been here for 3 days," Ta Jin said, bringing her a cup of hot tea. "Have you found anything?" How Newell nodded slowly, her eyes fixed on a particular set of records. "I found the truth," she said quietly. "And it's not what we thought." She brought up an old video on the main screen. It showed a meeting of alien leaders from 50,000 years ago. They were arguing about Earth, but not in the way everyone had assumed. "Listen to this," Hay Newell said, playing the translated audio. "Earth's warriors are our last hope," one alien leader said. "They're the only ones who can stop the harvesters permanently." "But they're too powerful," another argued. "Their ability to change reality is spreading. Other races are learning it from them. If this continues, the entire galaxy will become unstable." Tai Jin leaned closer to the screen. "They weren't just afraid of us," he realized. "They were afraid of what we were teaching others." "Exactly," Hay Newell said. She pulled up more records. Earth wasn't just a planet of warriors. We were teachers. Our warriors were showing other races how to break free from rigid thinking, how to change reality like we do. She showed him images of alien soldiers training with human warriors. In each picture, the aliens were learning to do what humans could do: bend reality, change the rules, think in impossible ways. But something went wrong, Hay Newell continued. She played another recording. This one showed the harvester machines attacking worlds where aliens had learned from Earth's warriors. The machines were specifically targeting these planets. "The harvesters knew we were teaching others," she explained. "They saw us as a virus, spreading our reality-changing abilities across the galaxy. So they changed their strategy. Instead of fighting us directly, they started attacking everyone who had learned from us." Tai Jin understood now. That's why those civilizations died. The harvesters went after them first, while we were sleeping. Newell nodded sadly. The alien coalition had 2 choices. They could let us keep teaching others and risk the harvesters destroying everyone, or they could put us to sleep and hope we'd be there when we were truly needed. She brought up one final record. It showed the day Earth was put to sleep. But now they could see it wasn't just alien ships around their planet. There were human warriors helping them. "We agreed to it," Hay Newell said softly. "Our leaders knew what was happening. They chose to sleep, to protect both humanity and the galaxy." Just then, Jin Wu rushed into the library. "You need to see this," he said, connecting his tablet to the main display. It showed current images of the harvesters attacking different parts of the galaxy. But something was different about their attacks. "They're not just converting planets anymore," Jin Wu explained. "They're trying to stabilize reality itself. They want to lock the universe into a single set of unchangeable rules." Newell stood up, understanding filling her eyes. "That's why we're needed now. It's not just about fighting the machines. It's about keeping reality free. About protecting the right of all living things to grow and change." She quickly gathered her research. "We need to tell Commander Du Yun," she said. "Earth's warriors aren't just soldiers anymore. They're guardians of change itself. And this time, we won't have to hide what we teach others." As they hurried to Earth's command center, Hay Newell thought about all the civilizations that had died trying to wake humanity too soon. They hadn't understood the whole truth. Earth's warriors weren't put to sleep because they were too dangerous. They were preserved because they were too important to lose. "The galaxy doesn't need us to fight its battles," she told Ta Jin as they walked. "It needs us to teach others how to fight their own battles in their own way. That's what the harvesters really fear, not our power, but our ability to share it." Jin Wu and Yuri stood in a massive underground chamber that stretched farther than their eyes could see. Ancient machines lined the walls, covered in dust, but still humming with power. Commander Du Yun had brought them here to help restart Earth's defense systems. These aren't normal weapons, Yuri said, running her quantum scanner over a strange device. They're reality anchors. Each one can change the laws of physics in a different way. Jinwoo connected his tablet to one of the control panels. The AI systems are still working, he reported. They've been waiting all this time, running on the lowest power mode possible. Du-Yun walked between the rows of machines, touching each one as he passed. With every touch, more systems came to life. These weapons were our last line of defense, he explained. We built them when we realized that normal bombs and guns wouldn't work against the harvesters. Yuri stopped at a large sphere floating in midair. What does this one do? It creates bubbles of altered time, Du-Yun said. Inside these bubbles, we can make time move faster or slower. It lets our warriors think for hours while only seconds pass in the real world. Jinwoo's tablet suddenly lit up with new information. Commander, I found something. These weapons aren't just machines. They're connected to the warriors themselves. They amplify what you can already do. Du-Yun nodded. That's why the aliens couldn't copy our technology. The weapons only work when they're linked to a human mind. We don't just use them. We become part of them. He pressed his hand against a wall, and a hidden door slid open. Inside was a room filled with what looked like simple metal bands, similar to the bracelet he wore. These are neural links, he told them. Each warrior wears one. They let us connect directly to the weapons and to each other. When we fight as one mind controlling thousands of reality-changing devices. Yuri picked up one of the bands, studying it with her scanner. The quantum readings are off the scale, she said. These things aren't just reading thoughts. They're reading possibilities. They see what the warrior wants to happen and make reality match it. Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the facility. Jinwoo rushed to check the main display. The harvesters have entered the inner solar system, he reported. They've already started converting Mars into more of their machines. Du-Yun walked to a large central platform. Then it's time to show you what these weapons can really do. He placed his hand on a control panel, and the entire chamber lit up with energy. Huge screens appeared in the air around them, showing the solar system. They could see the harvester machines spreading across Mars like a metal virus. But now they could also see Earth's defensive grid coming online. Watch, Du-Yun said. He closed his eyes, and the neural link on his wrist began to glow. Around Mars, space itself began to change. Areas of twisted reality appeared, creating zones where the harvester's machines couldn't function. Some areas of space turned to liquid, others froze time completely, and in some places, the laws of physics simply stopped working. This is just one warrior controlling a few weapons, Du-Yun told them. Imagine what will happen when all of us are awake and fighting together. Jinwoo and Yuri watched in amazement as Mars was surrounded by a web of altered reality. The harvester machines tried to adapt, but they couldn't understand what was happening. Their logical minds couldn't process spaces where logic itself had been rewritten. Now you understand why they feared us, Du-Yun said, opening his eyes. We don't just fight our enemies. We change the rules of the fight itself. The harvesters think they can convert everything into machines, but how can they convert something that doesn't follow the rules of their universe? More alarms sounded. The harvesters were changing course, heading straight for Earth. They had recognized the threat and were responding with full force. We need to wake the other warriors now, Du-Yun said. The real battle is about to begin, and we'll need every reality-changing weapon we have. As Jinwoo and Yuri rushed to help activate more systems, they finally understood why the aliens had been so afraid. Earth's warriors weren't just soldiers. They were reality artists, painting war with brushes that could reshape the universe itself. The sleeping chambers beneath Earth's surface stretched for miles. Tajin's team stood in the main control room, watching as the ancient machines hummed to life. After their warning message reached Earth, the caretakers had activated the awakening protocols immediately. Who are they waking first? Jinwoo asked, his hand moving over the old control panels. Hanul checked the system's display. Commander Du Yun Lee, she read. He led Earth's Special Combat Division before the sleep. According to these files, he was one of our most successful warriors. They watched through the reinforced windows as mist cleared from one of the sleeping pods. Inside, a man in a simple black uniform began to move. His eyes opened slowly, adjusting to light for the first time in 50,000 years. Vital signs are strong, Yuri reported, monitoring the medical readings. Brain activity is increasing rapidly. The pod door opened with a soft hiss. Du Yun Lee sat up, his movements smooth and controlled despite his long sleep. He looked at the team gathered around his pod, his eyes sharp and alert. The harvesters have returned, he said. It wasn't a question. Ta Jin stepped forward. You know about them. Du Yun stood up, stretching muscles that hadn't moved in millennia. We fought them before. That's why the aliens feared us so much. We were the only ones who could beat them. He walked to a nearby wall and pressed his hand against it. A hidden panel slid open, revealing a room full of strange equipment. This is why they put us to sleep, he explained. They thought our methods were too dangerous. What methods? Hey Nubel asked, her translator recording everything. Du Yun picked up what looked like a simple metal bracelet. Human warriors don't just fight with weapons or strength, he said. We fight with our minds. We can see patterns that others can't. We can think in ways that machines could never copy. He put the bracelet on, and suddenly the air around him seemed to ripple. The aliens gave their soldiers rules to follow. Their machines ran on logic and programs. But humans, he smiled slightly. We break rules. We rewrite them. We make the impossible possible. To demonstrate, he raised his hand. The metal table in front of him didn't just move. It changed. In seconds, it had transformed into a complex weapon that none of them had ever seen before. How did you do that? Jin Wu asked, his eyes wide. I thought about what I needed, and I made reality agree with me, Du Yun said simply. That's what frightened the aliens. They thought the universe had fixed rules. We showed them that rules can be bent, broken, or changed completely. Hainyul's translator beeped as it processed old files. The records say Earth's warriors could edit reality during combat. Is that what we're seeing? Du Yun nodded. Every human warrior has this ability. Some can change physical objects. Others can alter time or space. A few can even rewrite the laws of physics themselves. But the machines, his face grew serious. The machines can't copy this power because it doesn't follow any logic. It comes from human creativity and will. Suddenly, the building's alarms started blaring. Uri rushed to check the sensors. The harvesters have reached the outer solar system, she reported. They're moving faster than we expected. How many other warriors can we wake in time? Ta Jin asked. Du Yun walked to the control center's main screen, studying the approaching threat. Wake them all, he ordered. Every warrior, every commander. The aliens were right to fear us, but they were wrong to think that fear was a bad thing. He turned to face the team. Sometimes the most dangerous weapon is exactly what you need. The awakening chambers hummed louder as more pods began their activation sequence. Through the windows, they could see thousands of warriors starting to wake up. Each one had the power to change reality itself, and each one was needed for the fight ahead. The harvesters think they can predict everything we'll do, Du Yun said, watching his fellow warriors rise. But they've never faced humans before. We're about to show them why every dead civilization had that one rule. They weren't trying to protect themselves from us. He smiled again, but this time it was fierce. They were trying to protect the universe from what we can do. Yun Kim stood in front of a room full of military generals. Behind her, a large screen showed videos of Du Hyun's training sessions. In one clip, he lifted a car with ease. In another, his scales deflected bullets like they were made of paper. As you can see, she said, the transformed humans have abilities far beyond normal limits. But they're not weapons. They're people. General Kang, a stern-faced man with gray hair, leaned forward. Dr. Kim, the Chinese military is already forming all transformed units. The Americans too. We can't fall behind. He Yun took a deep breath. With respect, sir, I've spent months working with the transformed. Using them only for military purposes would be a huge mistake. The door opened, and Du Hyun walked in. His presence made some generals nervous, but he stood tall and proud. Next to him was Ta Won, carrying new research data. Show them, He Yun said to Du Hyun. Do Hyun stepped forward and held up his arm. His scales shimmered, then changed pattern and color until they looked like normal skin. Complete camouflage, he explained. And that's not all. He walked to a steel plate set up for demonstrations. His claws extended, but instead of attacking, he touched the metal gently. The area around his claws started to melt. Some of us have developed heat control, he said. Others can sense danger before it happens. One girl in our program can heal injuries by touching them. We're not just stronger. We're evolving in different ways. The generals whispered among themselves. General Kang smiled, but He Yun didn't like his smile. Perfect, he said. With abilities like these, our military would be unstoppable. Taiwan stepped forward. But we don't know why different people develop different abilities. And forcing transformations doesn't work. We've tried. The genes activate on their own, choosing their own time. He Yun pointed to her research charts. The transformations seem to match each person's natural talents or needs. Athletes often get stronger. Doctors who transform often develop healing abilities. It's like the genes know what each person needs most. Then we'll recruit already transformed soldiers, General Kang said. Give them special training, special weapons. No, He Yun interrupted. Several generals looked shocked at her boldness. The transformed aren't just soldiers. They're doctors, teachers, firefighters, parents. They're helping people all over the world. Making them only into weapons would waste their true potential. Do Hyun nodded. I serve in the military because I choose to. But many transformed people want normal lives. They want to use their abilities to help their communities in peaceful ways. General Kang frowned. The transformed population is growing. Other countries will use them as weapons whether we do or not. We must be prepared. Then let us prepare a different way, Heyun said. She showed a new slide. Transformed people working as rescue workers, doctors, and builders. Let's show the world that power doesn't have to mean violence. Let's use these gifts to protect and help, not just to fight. The room was quiet for a moment. Then an older general in the back spoke up. My granddaughter transformed last week, he said softly. She's 6. Her scales are pink and purple. She's not a weapon. She's just a little girl who can now climb walls and wants to be a firefighter. Heyun smiled at him gratefully. More generals started sharing stories of transformed family members. The mood in the room slowly changed. We'll consider all options, General Kang finally said. But his eyes still showed he had his own plans. As they left the meeting, Du Hyun looked worried. They won't give up easily, he said. No, Heyun agreed. But neither will we. The transformed aren't weapons. They're the next step in human evolution. And we need to make sure that step leads to a better world, not just a stronger army. 3 days after their first discovery, Hae Nul Kim sat in the space station's old control room, surrounded by holographic screens. Her eyes were tired from reading countless alien texts, but she couldn't stop. Each new translation revealed another piece of the puzzle. I found something important. She called out to Ta Jin, who was examining a damaged console nearby. These records tell us exactly how Earth was put to sleep. Ta Jin walked over, careful not to disturb the delicate equipment they had set up. The room's emergency lights cast a soft blue glow over everything, making the floating holographic text look like it was underwater. Tell me, he said, pulling up a chair beside her. Ha Nul pointed to different sections of text as she explained. 50,000 years ago, Earth was at its peak. We had technology that other races couldn't understand. But more importantly, we had warriors, soldiers with abilities that frightened every other civilization in the galaxy. She brought up a new screen showing ancient battle records. Look at these numbers. In every fight, Earth's warriors won. It didn't matter if they were outnumbered or faced better technology. They always found a way to win. Jin Wu entered the room, carrying fresh water bottles for everyone. "That's impossible," he said, handing out the drinks. "No military force can win every time." "Earth's warriors did," Haynul said firmly. "And that's why a group of alien races formed a coalition. They called themselves the Guardian Races, but they didn't attack Earth. They knew they would lose. Instead, they tried something different." She played a recovered video recording. The image showed a massive fleet of alien ships surrounding Earth, but they weren't firing weapons. Instead, they were projecting some kind of energy field around the planet. They used a combination of technology from all their races, Haynul continued. It was a sleep field designed to gradually put all of Earth into suspended animation. Our ancestors never saw it coming because it wasn't an attack. It was more like a lullaby for an entire planet. Yu rejoined them, her quantum sensors beeping softly. "The science behind this is amazing," she said, studying the recording. "They found a way to affect time itself around Earth. They didn't just put people to sleep. They put the whole planet into a kind of time bubble." Tajin frowned. "But why? If they were so afraid of us, why not just destroy Earth?" Hanul switched to another text. "Because they needed us. Look at this passage. Earth's warriors must be preserved, for they may be needed when the ancient enemy returns, but there's no explanation of who or what this enemy is." Jinwu, who had been quiet for a while, suddenly spoke up. "I think I know why they were so afraid of our warriors." He connected his data pad to the main display. "I found these personal logs from alien soldiers who fought against Earth. They're not afraid of our weapons or our technology. They're afraid of how we think." The screen filled with battle reports. Each one described Earth's warriors doing things that seemed impossible. Winning fights they should have lost. Finding solutions that made no sense until they worked. Breaking rules that everyone else thought couldn't be broken. "Our warriors didn't just fight," Jin Wu explained. "They changed the rules of every battle. The aliens couldn't understand how we did it, and that scared them more than any weapon could." Hanul stood up suddenly, her chair scraping against the metal floor. "There's something else. According to these records, Earth wasn't the only planet they put to sleep. There were others, warriors from different races who showed the same abilities. But," she paused, checking her translation again, "but those other races are all gone now. Their planets are empty." The team looked at each other as the meaning sank in. Earth wasn't just sleeping. It was the last repository of whatever special ability had made its warriors so feared and needed. "We need to find those other planets," Ta Jin said, already planning their next move. "Maybe they'll tell us why everyone else died, and why we were the only ones left alive." But before anyone could respond, the station's ancient warning system suddenly activated. Red lights began flashing, and a mechanical voice spoke in a language none of them knew. Hanul rushed to translate it, her face growing pale as she understood the words. "It's a proximity alert," she said. "Something is coming. Something that hasn't been seen in this part of the galaxy for 50,000 years." The team gathered at the station's viewport, watching as a strange darkness began to spread across the stars. Whatever had caused the ancient civilizations to fear Earth's warriors, and ultimately try to wake them, was about to reveal itself. The sky above Earth turned dark as thousands of harvester machines blocked out the sun. This was their biggest attack yet. They had brought their entire fleet to destroy humanity once and for all. Commander Du Yun stood in Earth's main control room, looking at the massive screens showing the enemy forces. After hearing Haynul's discovery about Earth's true purpose, he had changed their battle plans completely. All warriors, remember what we truly are, he said into the communication system. We're not just fighters. We're teachers. Today we show the galaxy how to stand against machines that want to lock reality into unchangeable rules. Tajin watched as Earth's defense systems came online. But this time, they were different. The warriors weren't just preparing to fight. They were preparing to demonstrate. Broadcasting has begun, Haynul reported. Every surviving civilization in the galaxy can see what we're about to do. They'll learn as we fight. The harvesters struck first. Their machines released waves of converting energy that could turn anything into more machines. The energy waves rolled toward Earth like a tide of metallic death. Show them the first lesson, Du Yun commanded. Earth's warriors moved as one. Instead of trying to block the energy waves, they changed the nature of energy itself. The waves transformed into beautiful patterns of light, harmless and peaceful. Lesson 1. Du Yun's voice rang out across the galaxy. Reality is not fixed. It can be changed by those who understand it isn't solid. The harvesters launched their second attack. Huge metal cubes combined into a giant drill, trying to bore through space itself to reach Earth's core. Lesson 2, Du Yun announced. The warriors demonstrated again, this time showing how to fold space around the drill. The massive weapon found itself cutting through empty copies of space, never reaching its target. Space and time are tools, not barriers, Du Yun explained to the watching galaxy. They can be reshaped by those who see them as clay rather than walls. The machines tried a new strategy. They created a field of pure logic around Earth, trying to force reality to follow only their rules. But this was exactly what the warriors had been waiting for. Final lesson, Du Yun said, the most important one of all. Every human warrior activated their neural link at once, but instead of attacking, they opened their minds to the galaxy. Through the broadcast, they showed everyone watching how to think in ways the machines couldn't understand, how to dream up new rules instead of following old ones, how to change reality simply by believing it could be changed. The machines think they can control everything by making it follow their logic, Du Yun explained. But life isn't about following rules. It's about creating new ones. The harvester machines began to fail. All across their fleet, reality stopped making sense to their logical minds. Some machines found themselves in spaces where mathematics worked backward. Others encountered areas where cause came after effect. Their rigid programming couldn't handle a universe that refused to stay fixed. Now, Du Yun ordered, everyone who's watching, use what we've shown you. Change reality in your own way. Across the galaxy, surviving civilizations began to act. They didn't copy Earth's warriors exactly. Instead, they found their own ways to change reality. Some used art to reshape space. Others used music to alter time. Each race discovered its own unique way to break the machine's rules. The harvester fleet started to break apart. Their perfect logical world was being changed by thousands of different minds, each one thinking in ways they couldn't predict or control. This is why they feared us teaching others, Haynul said, watching the machines retreat. One civilization changing reality was dangerous, but every civilization changing it in their own way, that's unstoppable. The last of the harvester machines fled into deep space, but this time everyone knew they wouldn't return. They couldn't exist in a galaxy where reality itself refused to stay fixed, where every civilization had learned to dream up new rules instead of following old ones. Send the final message, Du Yun said. Tell everyone. The old rule about never waking Earth's warriors is cancelled. From now on, the rule is simpler. Never stop learning, never stop changing, and never let anyone lock reality into a cage of unchangeable rules. Ta Jin Park's boots made soft clicking sounds against the metal floor of the abandoned space station. His flashlight beam cut through the darkness, revealing walls covered in strange writing. The air was stale, untouched for thousands of years. Behind him, his team moved quietly, their equipment humming softly in the silence. Professor Park, "You need to see this," called Hae-Nul Kim, her voice echoing through the empty corridor. She stood in front of a large wall panel, her scanner moving slowly across its surface. The letters on the wall seemed to glow faintly under her device's light. Ta-Jin walked over, his heart beating faster. They had explored 17 dead space stations before this one, but something felt different here. The station orbited a dead star, its metal shell cold and lifeless, yet it had perfectly preserved secrets waiting to be found. "Look at these markings," Hae-Nul said, pointing at the strange symbols. "They're different from the other stations. This isn't just one language. There are at least 7 different alien writing systems here." Her fingers traced the patterns carefully. "And they're all saying the same thing." Ta-Jin leaned closer, his breath forming small clouds in the cold air. "Can you translate it?" Hae-Nul nodded, her eyes fixed on her scanner screen. "Each message is a warning. They all say, Earth must remain in stasis. The warriors must never wake." She looked up at Ta-Jin, her face serious. Someone wanted to make sure every species in the galaxy could read this warning. The rest of the team gathered around them. Jin Wukang, their AI specialist, pulled out his data pad and started taking pictures. "The preservation of these writings is remarkable," he said. "The aliens used some kind of quantum-locked material. That's why it hasn't degraded after all this time." Ta-Jin stepped back, trying to understand what they were seeing. Earth had been sleeping for over 50,000 years. Everyone knew that. But no one knew why. Their civilization had gone to sleep at the height of their power, leaving behind only a handful of caretakers to watch over the sleeping billions. "There's more," Yuri Choi called from another section of the wall. The quantum physicist waved them over. "These look like dates and locations." Her scanner beeped as it processed the information. "These are records of dead civilizations, dozens of them." Ta-Jin felt a chill run down his spine as he read the data. Each entry listed a civilization, its location, and its end date. Some had additional notes, all carrying the same message. They tried to wake Earth. They did not survive. "Professor," Hae-Nul said quietly, "look at the dates. All these civilizations died within the last 50,000 years. After Earth went to sleep." She paused, her voice getting softer. "Whatever made them put Earth to sleep, they were terrified of us." Jin Woo's data pad suddenly lit up with new information. "I found something in the station's old computer systems," he said, his eyes widening. "There are video records. They're damaged, but—" He tapped his screen, and a hologram appeared in the air before them. The image showed an alien being, its features distorted by time and data corruption. But its message was clear. We were wrong to challenge Earth's warriors. Their power was beyond our understanding. If you find this message, heed our warning. Let them sleep, for if they wake again, none of us will survive there. The message cut off, leaving them in silence. Ta-Jin looked at his team members' faces, seeing his own mix of fear and curiosity reflected in their expressions. They had come looking for answers about Earth's past, but they had found something much bigger. "We need to report this to the Council," Hae-Nul said, already packing up her equipment. But Ta-Jin held up his hand, stopping her. "Wait," he said, his voice firm. "There's more here. These aliens weren't just afraid of us. They were afraid of something we could do." He turned to face his team. "We need to find out what that was before we tell anyone else. Because whatever made these civilizations lock away Earth and then die trying to wake us up, it might still be out there." The team looked at each other, understanding the weight of their discovery. They were no longer just archaeologists studying the past. They had stumbled onto a galaxy-spanning mystery, with Earth at its center. And somewhere in this dead space station, the truth about humanity's sleeping warriors was waiting to be found. The Orion Nebula glowed blue and green in the darkness of space. 500 Earth ships waited there, each one carrying warriors ready for battle. Commander Du Yun stood on the bridge of the lead ship, watching as the harvester machines approach. "All warriors report ready," Hey Newell said from her communication station. She had insisted on joining the fleet to record this historic battle. Every neural link is active and synchronized. Ta Jin and the others watched from Earth's control center as the battle was about to begin. The huge screen showed thousands of harvester machines moving through space like a swarm of metal insects. They're trying to surround us, Jin Woo reported, studying the tactical displays. Their machines are following standard attack patterns. Do Yun smiled slightly. Standard patterns won't help them here. He raised his hand, and his neural link glowed brightly. All warriors, begin Reality Edict Protocol 1. The space around Earth's ships started to change. Some areas turned into swirling clouds of possibilities. Other spaces split into multiple layers, each one operating under different physical laws. The harvester machines tried to adapt, but their logical minds couldn't understand what they were seeing. First wave, attack, Du Yun ordered. 100 Earth ships moved forward, but they didn't just fly. They rewrote the space around them. Some ships seemed to be in multiple places at once. Others moved through tiers in reality, appearing and disappearing at will. The harvesters launched their counterattack. Beams of energy shot toward Earth's fleet, but the warriors were ready. They didn't try to dodge the attacks. Instead, they changed the nature of space itself where the beams were traveling. Look at that, Yuri gasped, watching from Earth. The energy beams bent and twisted, some turning into harmless light, others folding back on themselves to hit the machines that fired them. In space, Du Yun led the second wave of attacks. Show them why the aliens feared us, he commanded. Show them what human warriors can really do. The battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. Earth's warriors didn't just fight. They rewrote the rules of combat with every move. When the harvesters tried to convert matter into more machines, the warriors changed the laws of physics so that conversion was impossible. When the machines attempted to calculate attack patterns, the warriors made space itself defy mathematics. They're falling back, Hey Newell reported excitedly. The machines can't handle spaces where their logic doesn't work. But the harvesters weren't done. They merged into larger forms, creating massive battle platforms that fired reality-destroying weapons of their own. All warriors, link minds now, Du Yun ordered. Show them what happens when humans work together. 500 neural links glowed as one. The warriors' minds joined, becoming a single force that could reshape reality on an enormous scale. The space around the Orion Nebula began to change in ways that even the ancient aliens had feared. Time flowed backward in some areas, making the machines fight enemies that hadn't attacked yet. Gravity reversed itself, pulling the harvesters in 100 different directions at once. Some spaces simply stopped existing, taking large groups of machines with them into nothingness. This is incredible, Ta Jin whispered, watching from Earth. No wonder the aliens were so afraid. Our warriors aren't just fighting. They're changing the basic rules of the universe itself. The battle reached its peak when the harvesters launched their final attack. They created a massive wave of converting energy, designed to turn everything it touched into machines. Du Yun stood calmly on his bridge. All warriors, show them what humanity does best. Show them why we were worth fearing and worth saving. As one, Earth's warriors reached out with their minds. The wave of energy met a wall of altered reality. For a moment, the two forces clashed in a display of light and power that could be seen across the galaxy. Then the wave broke, shattering into pieces that faded away into the changed space around them. The harvesters retreated, their machines damaged not just physically, but fundamentally. They had encountered something they couldn't understand or adapt to. Human creativity unleashed on the fabric of reality itself. Send the message, Du Yun ordered. Let every machine in the galaxy know Earth's warriors are awake, and we're just getting started. The remaining harvester machines vanished into deep space, but everyone knew this was just the beginning. The first battle had been won, but the war for reality itself was only just beginning. 1 year after the final battle, the galaxy was very different. Jin stood at a window in Earth's new galactic teaching center, watching ships from 100 different worlds arrive. Each one carried students eager to learn from Earth's warriors. "The latest group is here," Haynul said, walking up beside him. She held a tablet showing the list of new arrivals. "We have beings from 20 different civilizations this time." In the main training hall below, Commander Du Yun was teaching a class. But it wasn't a normal combat class. Instead, he was showing aliens of all shapes and sizes how to find their own ways of changing reality. "Remember," he told his students, "humans don't change reality better than others. We just discovered it first. Each of you will find your own way to reshape the universe." Jin smiled as he watched a group of crystal beings learning to bend light in ways that defied physics. Nearby, creatures made of pure energy were discovering how to create new forms of matter that couldn't exist under normal rules. "It's amazing how different everyone's methods are," Jinwoo said, joining them at the window. He had been working with the alien students, helping them combine their unique abilities with technology. Yuri appeared from her laboratory, excited about something. "You won't believe what the ocean dwellers from Kepler-16 just did," she said. "They found a way to change reality using sound waves underwater. It's completely different from how we do it." The group walked together through the teaching center. Everywhere they looked, Earth's warriors were working with aliens, but not as superiors, as guides helping others find their own strength. "Any sign of the harvesters?" Jin asked, though he already knew the answer. Haynul shook her head. "None. They can't exist in a galaxy where reality changes in so many different ways. Their logical minds just can't handle it." They reached the new Galactic Council chamber, where representatives from all surviving civilizations met. The old rule about never waking Earth's warriors had been replaced by new ones. Reality belongs to everyone. Each civilization must find its own path. Knowledge must be shared, never hoarded. Change is natural and should be celebrated. Du Yun joined them after his class ended. "How are the new students doing?" he asked. "Better than we expected," Jin replied. "Each group brings something new, something we never thought of." That was the biggest surprise after the war, how much humans could learn from those they taught. The crystal beings had shown them how to change reality through light. The energy creatures had revealed new ways to reshape matter. Every student brought new ideas, new ways of thinking. "The aliens who put us to sleep were right about one thing," Haynul said. "We were dangerous, but not in the way they thought. Our real power wasn't in changing reality ourselves. It was in showing others that reality could be changed at all." Outside the teaching center, Earth had changed too. The sleeping chambers where humanity had rested for 50,000 years were now museums. They reminded everyone of the time when fear had led to the wrong choice, when hiding knowledge seemed safer than sharing it. "What do you think the galaxy will be like in another 50,000 years?" Yuri asked, looking up at the stars. Du Yun smiled. "Impossible to predict," he said. "And that's exactly how it should be. A universe where everything is predictable is a universe that stopped growing." The group watched as another ship arrived, this one carrying beings made of pure mathematics. They had come to learn, but everyone knew they would also teach, sharing their own unique view of reality. "The old rule was wrong," Jin said. "The rule should never have been, 'Don't wake Earth's warriors.' It should have been, 'Wake them when you're ready to learn that everyone can be a warrior in their own way.'" As night fell over the teaching center, lights of all colors filled the sky. Each one a different species practicing their own method of changing reality. The galaxy had learned that the best defense against those who would lock everything into unchangeable rules was to have as many different ways of changing rules as possible. Earth's warriors had become what they were always meant to be, not the galaxy's most feared fighters, but its most dedicated teachers, and in teaching others to find their own strength, they had created something the harvesters could never defeat, a galaxy where change itself was the only constant rule.